Hello and happy Saturday. Today, I want to touch on something that I've been struggling with a little bit lately. But I'm working on it. And as I struggle with it, I realize it's a very human thing to do. So I'm learning to accept the struggles that come along with it. But I want to talk about forgiveness, acceptance and forgiveness. I feel like that's a very big battle that we constantly and continuously face throughout our lives, is learning how to forgive, particularly ourselves. It's hard. It's not the best feeling to go through when you're trying to learn how to forgive yourself, right? Because first things first is accepting who you are, accepting what you do, accepting what you did, what kind of role you played in people's lives, what challenges you faced, what mistakes you've made, what accomplishments you've had, what words you've said, what actions you couldn't control. All of those things can take a lot of work. When you want to know how to accept those things about you first, but then also forgive yourself for those things. And it takes practice on actually in the moment forgiving yourself. And then it takes more practice when you find yourself acting out in ways that may not be beneficial for anyone. And then you look back and you're like, okay, yeah, I really got to accept that I did that. I really got to accept that I said that, or that I felt that. And then I have to forgive myself, you know? So for me, I feel as though forgiveness is big, and we need to talk about it more. We need to talk about what it feels like to go through that process of forgiving. Some things are more easier to forgive. People are more easier to forgive than other things and people, you know, and that's fine. But moving forward, forgiveness is the key. I feel like is the key, one of the keys to healing, to fully healing, fully being able to live in the moment, in whatever moment you're living, and enjoying those moments. You have to forgive. You know, sometimes our minds can be clouded with all of these not so good things and not so good times and what we feel to be not so good people, and we're just thinking about it, or maybe we even try to ignore it. So we go about life, we do productive things, we love on others, we love on ourselves, we accomplish other things, but we forget about forgiving. You know, we forget about accepting. And some things are just so deep that it takes more time. It takes more patience with yourself. It takes a little bit more love, you know, a little bit more effort I found for myself that there's no way in hell that I'll be able to enjoy a moment or a time or anything if I can't forgive some things. I can't accept and at least forgive it, because then those things could pop up and I start to forget about the moments, or maybe life has its own way of triggering you, Life has its own way and has had its own way with triggering me. And so really being able to take some time out and acknowledge those things that may be triggering, or these things could come up and it could be things that weren't even happening, but in your brain you're not able to accept that certain things has happened and you're not able to forgive it, so I find myself taken away from love in the moment sometimes when I'm struggling with forgiving something or forgiving myself for what has already happened. So I guess the point that I'm trying to make, I'm not pre-recording, so I'm just kind of freely talking. But the point that I'm trying to make is freeing your mind by practicing forgiveness, by practicing acceptance, by being okay. It doesn't have to be, oh, I'm glad it happened, or, but really changing the perspective on, okay, it happened for me. Like I usually try to speak about, it happens for you, not against, not to make things worse for your life, but all of the things that I've been working on with forgiving, or have worked through with forgiving, it was a variety of experiences, so it took time or it didn't. It just depends. Things that I've buried since I was 4 years old type thing took time. It took a lot of time. I knew I was able to accept certain things from childhood years ago, but forgiving takes a little bit more time than accepting. But once acceptance occurs, then so does forgiveness eventually. But it took time. Some things I don't, life goes on and you get older and, you have your own kids, or you have your own family, your own loved ones, and you don't really forget about what happens or what occurred or what happened. But because it's not happening no more, you kind of don't think about it, right? But like I said, life goes on and triggers happen. And these triggers could be from childhood, right? It could be from other things that didn't even happen like a week ago or 3, whatever the case may be. And the triggers could be anything. And so really taking the time out for me, it took me nights and days of crying things out, writing things out, speaking things out, talking things out with loved ones, meditating things out, and really sitting with my feelings, sitting with my emotions, so that I can be able to really mentally separate, okay, what happened versus what's not happening. And I have to accept what happened. I have to accept how I was, or what I couldn't control. I have to accept it. But how can I forgive these things? Because some people, or some situations, you is no kind of closure, quote unquote, in a sense. For me, things that I thought I had to really heal through from my childhood, it wasn't no closure. At the end of the day, certain things just shouldn't happen. That's societal logic. It feels like certain things just shouldn't happen to little people. So it wasn't closure to that. It wasn't closure to that. And even then, years went by, and actually within the past maybe year, it still wasn't closure when I found out my perpetrator had died. It still wasn't closure. A tragic death too. Still wasn't closure for me. But by then I had already worked through and healed through forgiving what happened, forgiving those things. Because I had to move forward. I had to move forward with my life. So point is, sometimes those things could be hard to work on with forgiveness, because it may not be quote unquote closure there. Nope. Everybody's not gonna say sorry. Say sorry to yourself. Say you're here for yourself. Say I apologize that you went through that. Hug yourself. Motivate yourself. Soothe yourself. That may be where that closure comes from. That may be where that closure comes from. And in doing that, you are learning to forgive yourself for even being involved. Even if you were 4 or 8 or 20 something, and you found yourself involved, whether it was something you could not control or something you chose. You have to find ways to forgive yourself, love on yourself, soothe yourself, tell yourself you're sorry, tell yourself you're forgived, tell yourself you're worth it. It'll spread. It'll spread. Trust me, it'll spread. You'll start realizing that life is just too short to be beating yourself up, to be criticizing yourself on things that just isn't always worth being mad about after so long. So it gets easier and it spreads. And the more you view yourself as being human, the more you'll view others as being just as human. And experiences and journeys create those humans, just like experiences and journeys created you. So, with that being said, I had to learn with certain people, certain things. My perpetrator, for example, that people are how they are for reasons, for their experiences, for their journeys. No, it was not right. Some things just isn't right. So no, it was not right. But I had to forgive. I had to forgive. I could not, in my mind, be an abused victim for the rest of my life. There's no way I can go the rest of my life blaming others' actions for why I am unhappy, for why I can't feel good about myself, for why I can't forgive. for why I can't show love. I can't do that. So realizing that humans are humans and we do wrong things. We accept wrong things, we do wrong things. But man, we gotta show a little bit of grace and mercy for ourselves. It's killing us. It's killing us. It is really killing us. Hating ourselves, not being able to forgive ourselves for the roles that we play, for the actions that we put out into the world, for how we make other people feel, and it's not the best. It's killing us to not be able to forgive ourselves. And it's killing us to not be able to forgive other humans. We are all worthy of forgiveness, and we're all worthy of love. But that's going to be a pretty hard battle from my own experience. It can be a pretty hard battle to go on life as long as your higher power or your God is giving you another day to breathe, to go on life being upset with yourself or with others. Life's too short, man. And like I said, it's not always the easiest battle. I think from my standpoint, I'm not always right by any means necessary. So please don't take my word as like, ooh, golden. But I feel from my standpoint that a lot of us, most of us humans, that's our biggest battle, is forgiving, is acceptance and forgiveness. It's one of our biggest battles, you know, outside of trading money and love, but you know, that's all another different topic. But all in all, anything that's traded or battled against love it's gonna be a hard one, you know. It's gonna be a hard one, but just trying it out, you know. I like to talk to myself sometimes, and just to release. If I had a good friend to talk to, I'd talk to my friends. But just to release. I always like to just release somehow. And so maybe that could help also. Talking to that you in a way where no one can talk to you, you know. Talk to that 4-year-old. Talk to that 16-year-old. Sit down and have a talk with that 21-year-old. Man, I still need to sit down and have a talk with her. But really, sit down and talk with yourselves. And accept who you were. Accept what happened. Accept the people that were around you. And show love from a distance. You know, and the only way to do that is by starting from home, starting from within. Sit down and tell yourself, you know what? I forgive you. It's all good. It's all Gucci. I forgive you. And work on that. And when you keep making mistakes in life, because it's going to continue to happen, learn from them. It's learn from them. Mistakes are mistakes too. They're lessons. If you really want to change your perspective, they're lessons. But learn from them. They're gonna happen. Might as well learn from the mistakes, since it's gonna happen. Because accomplishments just feel good. Accomplishments just feel good, and you know, it's motivating and all of that. And but you don't want to forget those times where things were dark and not so good. And if you wanted to remember those times, at least you could remember those times where you was being patient with yourself. You was having grace with yourself. you was learning to forgive yourself during those times where you made those mistakes. You were learning those things, you know? So, all in all, that's been pretty heavy on my mind lately is speaking out about acceptance and forgiveness. Again, nothing is a perfect journey. No one has a perfect journey. But life could be a little bit more beautiful if we be a little bit easier on ourselves and on others. It'll be a little bit more beautiful. Tad bit. Maybe a whole lot. But yeah. Sit with yourself and give yourself a big ass hug. Accept who you are and forgive who you are. And then spread that shit. And that's it. Have a good rest of your Saturday.